Mortal Kombat is famous worldwide for its violence and gore. However, not enough players talk about just how creepy the series can be as well. There are several disturbing and strange facts throughout the series. So today, let's discuss several disturbing Mortal Kombat facts to help keep you up at night. Make sure to share any creepy facts you know about the series in the comments below, and then share this video with a friend to give them a good scare. And then before we jump into things, do you want to know what's really scary? That you haven't heard about DNF Duel. The 17-year RPG Dungeon Fighter Online has returned as a 2.5D fighting game. This new fighting game is absolutely gorgeous with Smash-style gameplay and intuitive command inputs. You've never seen a fighting game look this good before. And did I mention it has rollback netcode? Because it does. Which means this game is guaranteed to have low lag and offer a seamless multiplayer experience worldwide. And to make things even better, there's also a simplified online matching system, where opponents are continuously matched just by queuing. And lastly, this game offers every mode that fighting game players love, such as story mode, training mode, survival mode, arcade mode, and so much more. So what are you waiting for? Get your hands on DNF Duel today. The game is gorgeous, fun to play, and easy to learn, so I highly recommend trying out DNF Duel today. Alright, but now it's time to talk about some really creepy and disturbing facts in Mortal Kombat 11, and we're starting off with a big one. If you don't find this first fact disturbing, then there's something wrong with you. Skarlet is a playable character in Mortal Kombat 11, and she's also the adopted child of Shao Kahn. He found her on the street when she was very young and raised her as one of his own kids. In fact, not only did Shao Kahn raise Skarlet, but he also taught her the ways of blood magic. And it's that exact relationship that makes this next fact so creepy and disturbing. If you go into the customization and have a look at Skarlet's gear pieces, one of them has a very bizarre name. One of Skarlet's blood vials is referred to as the sacred seed of Shao Kahn. Yeah, once again, this is her father figure, and she refers to one of her blood vials as his sacred seed. Now, if you're not sure what someone's seed is, I recommend you Google it, because I don't want to be your biology teacher today. And I'm convinced that NetherRealm's writers just got done watching Game of Thrones and thought, you know what's really cool? When the villains are incestual. And yes, I understand that Skarlet is adopted, but it's still really creepy to have something named after your father's seed. Even if he is your adopted father and not your biological father, it's still very messed up. Why is this in the game? And don't worry, it gets worse, because there are several intro dialogues in the game that confirm Skarlet is hot for her own adoptive father.
I will be Shao Kahn's empress.
Shao Kahn wouldn't marry a weakling.
I'll bleed your power and make him mine.
So yeah, like I said, number one is a doozy. Now it's on to our number two creepy fact. This next fact has to do with D'Vorah, one of the creepiest new characters to be added to Mortal Kombat. This character is stuffed with hundreds of different species of bugs and is just all around nasty, which is why it's very disturbing to know that she had an affair with Kotal Kahn, which chronologically does make sense because she did serve under him for a long time as his second in command. But Kotal Kahn's not proud of this fact. In fact, he denies it openly in Mortal Kombat 11.
Did you tell Jade about us?
There is nothing to tell, D'Vorah.
Such deception, Kotal.
So it's up to you who you choose to believe, but honestly, I don't think D'Vorah has any reason to lie about this fact. Hey, don't blame me if you're uncomfortable, that's the entire point of this video. And now it's time for our third disturbing fact, and it has to do with costume design. Baraka's first appearance was in Mortal Kombat 2, and fans fell in love with him right away, mainly because his mask was so creepy. Baraka literally does look like a demon that escaped straight from hell, but here's the creepiest part. How do you think this mask was made? Let's zoom in on the teeth, because if you look close enough, you'll find out they're in fact not teeth at all. They are human fingernails. That's right, the mask used in Mortal Kombat 2 for Baraka used human fingernails as the teeth. Okay, that's only half true. The reality is they're press-on fingernails, which means they're fake fingernails, but even so, those are fingernails as Baraka's teeth on his mask, which is still very creepy, but also I gotta give it to the creators of the original Mortal Kombat games. They did a lot with very little, and were just all around creative. Now it's time for creepy fact number 4, and this one has to do with Garrus. For anyone not aware, this character is immortal. You can kill him as much as you want to, but he's always going to come back to life. And that might seem like a really cool power until you realize he is a literal slave to the Master of Time. Kronika herself created Garrus for the sole purpose of being her slave for millions of years. In fact, that's an understatement because Kronika has reset the timeline multiple times, and each timeline is easily millions of years, which means that Garrus has been a slave for billions of years to this tyrant. And also don't forget, he's been dying over and over again constantly during this entire period. And yet, even so, Garrus never seems to harbor any hatred towards Kronika, at least not in the story mode, and that's the only canon material we have. And at that point, you can't even call it Stockholm Syndrome, it's something else. When you've been a slave for billions of years and forced to die over and over again, and you still don't hate that person, I don't know what you call that. But no matter what you call it, I can't help but feel terrible for Garrus. I don't think anyone deserves his fate. I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy. Despite being able to live forever, Garrus might be the most unlucky character in the entire Mortal Kombat series. And now it's finally time to talk about Mileena's ending in Mortal Kombat 11, because despite what everyone might think, it's not a happy ending at all. You see, even though Mileena does appear happy in her own ending and has a child of her own and is even married to Tanya, she's been doomed to a very awful fate. Because if you know anything about Mortal Kombat, then you know that Tanya is the biggest traitor in the entire series. In her very first appearance, she betrayed Liu Kang, and then after that she betrayed Onaga, and even in Mortal Kombat X, she betrays Rain in her own ending. And then worst of all for Mileena, during the canon story mode of Mortal Kombat X, she was planning on betraying her. Both Rain and Tanya have tricked Mileena into using Shinnok's amulet over and over again to make her weaker little by little, so she'll eventually die and they can rule Edenia in her place. Because you see, Mileena was given the right to Outworld by Shao Kahn's decree. It was his dying wish, but once she's out of the way, it's going straight to Rain and Tanya. And that's why they devised a plan to kill her slowly but surely, and Mileena accidentally married this character in her own happy ending, because she truly believes that Tanya does love her. She's one of the few creatures who's shown her any sort of kindness. But Mileena's fairy tale ending is a lie, because there's no one you can trust less than Tanya. She married someone who is inevitably going to betray her and take everything she has. Once again, this seemingly happy ending is much more disturbing than it appears. And on a quick side note, can we talk about the baby? Because this ending implies that Tarkatan babies actually drink human blood and eat flesh, even when they're infants. And it doesn't get much more creepy or disturbing than that. Typically, a baby is raised on its mother's milk, but apparently Tarkatans out of the womb are already eating flesh and drinking blood. Forget demons, Tarkatans are much closer to vampires if you ask me. And this final disturbing fact might actually be funny depending on your twisted sense of humor. Throughout the history of Mortal Kombat, there are a few characters stronger than Liu Kang and Kung Lao. In fact, these characters are so powerful and renowned for their fighting ability that they got their very own video game, which is why it's very uncomfortable to discover that their trainer is the master of farting and puking. Yeah, you heard that correctly. The guy who trained the two strongest fighters in Earthrealm has somehow learned how to weaponize his own bodily fluids to a very effective degree. Just imagine being one of the strongest fighters in Outworld and you're in the Mortal Kombat tournament and your opponent opens up by puking on you and then farting on you. Of course you're going to be grossed out, but here's the thing, it works really well. Bo' Rai Cho wins fights using this technique, and keep in mind he's not human. Despite training Liu Kang and Kung Lao, Bo' Rai Cho is originally from Outworld, which means his farts really are that strong. They're not like a human fart. Imagine smelling something so vile that you're literally unable to move. Mortal Kombat is literally a fight to the death involving the strongest fighters in every single realm. And yet even so, not one of those deadly warriors can handle a fart from Bo' Rai Cho. I know it sounds funny, but just imagine how awful they must smell to do that to the strongest warriors in the realms. And once again, it's not just the farts. Bo' Rai Cho can also puke with enough force to knock you down. Having somebody vomit on you during a fight is bad enough, but now imagine it carries the force of a punch. That is exactly what Bo' Rai Cho does to defeat his opponents, and it's very effective. And it has me wondering, has Bo' Rai Cho ever taught this forbidden art to anybody else? Or has he kept it for himself because he knows how deadly these techniques can be? Or maybe is it possible that he's the only person in Outworld that has this ability, kind of like an X-Man? What if Bo' Rai Cho was born with a 1 in a million mutation that gives him bizarrely putrid farts and explosive vomit? It's honestly a creepy thought and a very disturbing fighting style to say the least. Alright everyone, that's all the disturbing facts that I have for you today, but like I said earlier, please post any other creepy facts about Mortal Kombat that you know in the comment section down below. I honestly can't wait to read every single one, and who knows, if we get enough, we could actually make a a second video on this same topic. If you enjoyed these odd and disturbing facts, then please leave a like down below. It really does help my channel out a ton. And why not share the video with your friends and even your enemies to make them feel a bit uncomfortable. And then finally finish that combo by subscribing and ringing that bell below so you never miss any future videos. Make sure to come back next time, and as always, stay underdogs.